I've been noticing something lately. A lot of entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, speakers, and creators of all kinds are struggling right now to reach more clients in this current business environment. Have you struggled with this? We have to shift. What if one conversation could introduce you to your next client, collaborator, or biggest opportunity? What would change in your business if hundreds or even thousands of new people heard your message this year? How different would your business look if you could consistently get in front of new audiences? What if your expertise could reach people you've never met before in places you've never been simply by having meaningful conversations? Would you like to know the methods that are working for me and what's working today? I want to talk with you about how to increase your visibility and income in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible, all while having fun, specifically podcasting and guesting, being a guest on podcasts. Hi, my name is Jennifer Hensel, and today we're going to chat about turning your conversations into more clients, customers, and collaborations. We're going to explore how podcasting and guesting can grow your visibility, authority, and business. Podcasting is one of the most powerful opportunities today for reaching new audiences, increasing your authority, and amplifying your visibility. Even if you don't want to start your own podcast, you can still grow your brand and business by being a guest on other people's shows. It can help you with growing your authority, building trust, attracting your ideal clients, growing your email list, creating partnerships and collaborations, driving people to your products, programs, memberships, events, and services, and building a community around your message. Now, that last point is key to all of this, building a community. In a crowded online world, podcasting creates something many platforms struggle to provide: authentic connection. When someone listens to your voice for 5, 10, 20, or more minutes, they begin to feel like they know you. They hear your stories, your experiences, your personality, and your expertise. Trust develops through a podcast episode much faster than it typically does through a social post, advertisement, or email marketing alone. Podcasting and guesting gives you the opportunity to position yourself as a trusted expert. It allows you to build meaningful relationships, expand your influence, and create opportunities. Today, I'm going to share with you 4 myths and 4 truths, including practical tips you can incorporate into your business right away. You'll learn how to turn conversations into more clients, opportunities, impact, and collaborations. By the way, I have a gift for you. You can get the slides and all the notes and links for this presentation in the show notes at womenpodcasters.com. Myth number 1. I'm too late to the party. Truth. Podcasting is still expanding. You're not too late. The opportunities are still overflowing. Before 2020, there were only 1 million podcasts, and now there are over 6 million. And when you compare that to the number of websites, channels, and other media, there's still lots of room to grow. Podcasting continues to grow year after year. Hundreds of millions of people listen to podcasts worldwide. It's really become mainstream. Podcast audiences tend to be loyal and trust the hosts they follow. Unlike social media content, podcast episodes can continue to generate visibility for years. Podcast listeners are highly engaged and often listen longer than other media. Think about it. If someone spends 45 minutes listening to your interview, that's the equivalent of reading dozens and dozens of social media posts, watching multiple videos, or receiving weekly emails. Podcasting is not just content, it's relationship building at scale. Now, I have a gift to help you with this about starting a podcast in the show notes at womenpodcasters.com. Myth number 2. It's too technically complicated and expensive. These were the myths that stopped me from starting my own podcast for years. The technology was actually a lot more difficult and technically heavy in the beginning. I was looking into starting around 2009, 2010, and it felt like learning a new language. But it's much easier now. The truth is, podcasting has never been easier. I was studying podcasting for more than 10 years before I started my podcast. I was in my mentor's podcast mastermind since 2009, but didn't start podcasting until 2019. Now, I did interviews and editing and other services in the industry, and I made a lot of connections and achieved a lot of other things in the meantime, but it took me that long to actually start my own show. Now, I'm an award-winning podcaster, author, and founder of the Women Podcasters Network and Awards, and host of the Women in Podcasting Show, and co-host of The Inspiring Show. In 2024, I received the Business Podcast of the Year award from the Podcast Awards, and in 2023, I won the Innovator of the Year award from the Quill Podcast Awards. Start simple. Here are some of the tools that I've personally used. Now, I have a full training on mics, so I won't go into the whole thing here, but I love using a USB microphone. It plugs right into your laptop. I like the HyperX mic, that's my favorite. And I love mobile microphones. I'm actually using a mobile microphone right now for this episode. Very low cost, and you can start doing a podcast right away. It's the easiest way to get going on your podcast today. Now, Audacity is for audio editing, and that's a free audio editing software that you can download and start using, and you can edit your audio using that. And then CapCut is for video editing. I use that mostly for social posts and social videos. Adobe Premiere Pro is for video editing also, and I use that for editing my episodes and for other training videos. Captivate is for podcast hosting. I do not recommend free hosting. I recommend getting a proper podcasting host. It's not very expensive. It can start anywhere from $5 a month. I get one that's $20 a month, and I can have unlimited podcasts on there. So it's very low cost, but you need that because it distributes your podcast to all the podcasting platforms. You need to have a paid podcasting host service. All right? And then Apple Podcast Connect and Spotify for creators. You need accounts in those two platforms in order to connect your podcast host so they can distribute your podcast onto those platforms, and your host will distribute it to all the podcast platforms. Okay? Opus Clip. I absolutely love Opus Clip. You put a YouTube link of your episode right in there, and it will just automatically take it and chop it into different pieces. So even if you have an audio podcast, just put an image with a waveform or something like that, make it a video, and then you can upload that to YouTube so you can have extra visibility. You can take that link and put it into Opus Clip, and it will chop it up into clips that you can use in your social media. I really find this very helpful. It gets more listeners, it gets more eyeballs on my content, and it actually will tell you what will be the best clip. The one that would be most effective has the best SEO for YouTube and for other platforms. So it's a really handy tool. Podmatch. Podmatch is for finding guest opportunities and also for podcasters to find guests. So it's a matching service between podcasters and guests. If you just want to be a guest on podcasts, I highly recommend going and signing up for a Podmatch account, and you will get access to so many quality podcasts, and you will be able to reach new audiences. I know the owner, Alex Sanfilippo. He's done an amazing job. This is really the top tool in the industry for podcaster and guest matching. Podmatch. And then also the Women Podcasters Network. Join our Women in Podcasting group on Facebook and join the network to connect with other podcasters. I've had thousands of connections between podcasters and guests in my Facebook group, and I would love to see you there. Feel free to share about yourself and what you want to speak about as a guest. You do not need expensive equipment to get started. You need a message worth sharing. Your technology can grow with your show or with your guesting opportunities. The biggest mistake is waiting for the perfect equipment. Done is better than perfect. Just start today. I have 2 gifts to help you with this. One is called a Speaker One Sheet, and that will help you to put everything together in the proper way to attract podcasters to invite you to be on their show. And the other thing is a guide called How to Get Booked as a Guest Expert, and that will walk you through how to get your first gig and how to get gigs on podcasts as a speaker. Myth number 3. The main way podcasters make money is through sponsorships. No. Incorrect. Almost every new podcaster believes this for some reason. Every podcast coach I've ever met knows that this is not true, and I don't know anyone who would teach this. So it's a mystery as to why people come to believe this. I think maybe people just listen to people, celebrity podcasts. And now if you're a celebrity with a huge PR budget or, a following in the millions already, then yes, do sponsorships. But for regular entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, authors who want to start a podcast or be a guest on podcasts, it's not about numbers, and sponsorships are all about the numbers. And so the truth is, sponsorships are one of the worst ways to generate income for your podcast. You need thousands and thousands of downloads and a massive PR budget, plus you're giving away your attention. Time and attention are the most valuable commodities. That's why you're doing this podcast, to get more visibility and attention. If you spend your time and effort on getting people to listen and then send them away to something else, That's the worst thing you can do. Successful podcasters use their podcast for relationship building and lead generation. Think about it as growing a community around your message. So how do we do that? Offer a lead magnet during your podcast, and then once people are on your list, you can direct people to your offer. And then your offer is going to be memberships, affiliate partnerships, affiliate marketing, digital assets, group programs, masterminds, workshops, retreats, coaching, services, strategic partnerships, UGC, whatever you offer, those are the things that will make you money, not sponsorships. All of those things, you're drawing people into your community. You're not sending them away. Okay, so I highly recommend shift your belief around sponsorships. It is available as an option to monetize your podcast, but I do not recommend it. Most of the podcast hosting platforms offer a way of sort of plugging in ads and things like that and commercials into your podcast, but sometimes you don't even know what those are going to be. They may be off topic, and even if they are on topic, then you're sending your ideal customer to somebody else. So definitely try some of these other methods. Now I have a gift to help you with this. It's called the Top 5 Methods for Monetizing Your Mic. And you can go and get that, and you can use those methods whether you have a podcast or you're going to be a guest on podcast. And you can find that guide in the show notes of this episode at womenpodcasters.com. Myth number 4, no one will listen to me. Many people think they need hundreds of topics and endless content ideas before launching a podcast or becoming a guest. The truth is, your story and experience can help others. Most successful podcasters and expert guests build their visibility around one core message, one flagship idea, one signature story. So let's talk about creating your signature story. Paul and I like to use the framework Story, Teach, Tool. And if you haven't heard our stories and how we did our signature stories, you can listen to the first episodes of both of our podcasts, the Women in Podcasting Show and the Inspiring Show. Go take a listen to the first, second, and third episodes of those shows, and you'll hear how we've used our stories for all kinds of amazing opportunities and opening all kinds of doors that we would have never had access to if we didn't have a signature story. Okay, so the framework is, the first part is story. So you're going to have a brief introduction about yourself, who you are, and why you're passionate about the topic. And it's going to show your transformation, right? You have to show your transformation from point A to point B, how you overcame something, how you got through a struggle, and what was the result? What was the outcome? It's going to be similar to what your audience is seeking, right? And then in the second part, which is teach, you're going to have 3 to 5 tips, steps, points, or lessons that's going to show them how they can do it. Or at least it's going to show them what's possible, because you may have a larger training that you want to direct people to, but that brings us to part 3, which is the tool. It's going to be your call to action or solution in the form of a lead magnet. I recommend using a freebie in podcasts or when you're guesting. I don't recommend selling with a price from a podcast. There's exceptions, of course, but for the most part, you want to do something that's evergreen. So a lead magnet is great because people can get on your list, and then you can present your offer from there. Your signature talk becomes the foundation for your podcast episodes, your guest interviews, your workshops, your presentations, videos, articles, lead magnets. So you really want to think about your signature talk. What is that all about? What's the main topic that you want to talk about? So let's bring this all together. What this looks like for podcasters is your signature talk can become your first episode, or at least a flagship episode that you can refer people to. It demonstrates your backstory, why you started the podcast, and what you're all about. If you're starting a podcast, you're going to create a trailer, create your first signature story flagship episode, prepare 5 to 10 episodes before you launch. Have those ready to roll out. You're going to batch record your content. That's the best way to stay consistent. You're going to build momentum from day one by having those episodes ready to go. You don't need hundreds of topics. You need one main theme or topic to focus around, and you need clarity around your message. If you're looking for guests, you're going to post in groups with hashtag #FindAGuest. So those are just some quick notes for podcasters of how to incorporate your signature story based on today's episode, but I have a full training, as I mentioned before, about starting a podcast. And if you want even more extensive training, I have some links to some other people that have some amazing programs that you can join for starting your podcast. If you're a guest, to get on shows, you need to communicate how you will bring value to their audience. To do that, you need to create a talk and write at least an outline and highlights of what you'll talk about. So for example, I've written out different stories that kind of go with different themes and topics. So when someone asks me something, I know the piece of education or the story or the tips I'm going to give for that particular question, right? One exercise you can do is write out all the questions you think you'll ever be asked and pop in different parts of your story or different stories, different pieces of content and educational bits into those questions, just so that you can prepare a little bit and be more prepared. You're actually going to present yourself more authentically if you prepare that content, because then you're going to really know that you're presenting your own thoughts. You're not just sort of winging it, and maybe sometimes you won't say what you really meant. So it's better to prepare this ahead of time, because if you have too many things, that's one of the biggest mistakes I get from people who want to be a guest on my show. Their presentation is much too long. That's where the mistake happens, is they send a pitch that's way, way, way too long. We don't need to know all your credentials. We don't need to know everything that you've ever learned or talked about or know about. It's not about presenting everything you know about. It's presenting about one topic, one solution. What's the outcome, and what kind of gift can you offer the audience? What kind of value can you bring to the podcaster's audience? If it's too much, honestly, they're not going to read it. That's one of the biggest complaints, is the pitches are way, way, way too long. You want to have one paragraph that you can explain who you serve, what's your topic, and how you're going to bring value to their show. So guess you're going to create a 1-paragraph intro, okay? Not 2 pages. You don't need to list all your credentials. You need to just say what your topic is, a potential title, what audience you reach, how you help people, how you're going to bring value. And then you can create a speaker one sheet. Now, the one sheet can have a few more details on it and your links and your contact info and all of that kind of thing. I have a template, as I mentioned, that you can get from womenpodcasters.com. And then reach out to podcasters, make it concise, make it impactful, and connect with them and show how you can bring value to their show. Research their show before you go, because one of the other complaints is that people have no clue what the show is about, and then they go submit a pitch and it's not relevant. So make sure that you research the show before you submit a pitch. And then post in groups with hashtag be a guest. So just like podcasters are going to post with hashtag find a guest, as a guest, you're going to post with the hashtag be a guest. And a lot of podcasting groups like mine accept those hashtags and know what it means. And then you'll be able to get more visibility and more connections. Women, you can post in my Women at Podcasting group on Facebook and LinkedIn with hashtag be a guest. Or for all genders, you can post in my school group, and you can find that link through womenpodcasters.com. I'll have a link to it there. I would love to see you in my community, and I'd love to see your intros and how you're going to present your signature stories. And if you're a guest or a podcaster, I would love to connect with you, because I just love this podcasting community. It's all about community for me. Everything I do is centered around community. All right, thank you so much for listening today. My name again is Jennifer Hensel. You can find me at womenpodcasters.com. This is the Women in Podcasting Show. If you can like and share, we would love that. It would help us to elevate women's voices globally and throughout the podcasting industry. Bye for now.